Good morning. I just want to go over the inequalities practice test. So remember, inequalities are solved exactly like equations, but we just have to make sure we remember our symbols. So we have four inequality symbols: less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So if we look at the first one, you have h plus 9 is less than 20. I'm going to solve it exactly like an equation, so I subtract 9 from both sides, and I get h is less than 11. So if I look at my answer choices, if I put 13, 13 is not less than 11, so it's no good. If I look at 12, 12 is not less than 11, so that is not good either. And if I have 11 is less than 11, and we know 11 is not less than 11, it's equal to. But if I put in 10, 10 is less than 11, so the correct choice would be I. The inequality A is less than 10 represents ages that qualify for a child's ticket. Which children in the Rogers family qualify for a child's ticket? So we need to look. Chris, we sub in the age, 5. 5 is less than 10, so that is good. So Chris qualifies. Megan is 8. We sub it in for A. 8 is less than 10, so Megan is good. Piper's 10. 10 less than 10, and 10 is not less than 10, so Piper does not qualify. And Mark is 12. We sub in 12 is less than 10, and that is not true, so Mark does not qualify. So the only ones that qualify are Chris and Megan. As long as the variable is on the left, the arrow will always point in the direction of the inequality symbol. It is an open circle, so that means it's either less than or greater than. The variable is on the left, so we know it's x is less. The arrow points in the same direction, and we go with the number it is on. So it's x is less than 3, and it's going to be I. Okay? Miguel has at least $250 in his bank account. We want to know the inequality. So if he has at least $250, he can have $250. But he can also have more than 250. $251 is at least 250. So we know the correct answer should be D. We know by looking at this graph, remember, it's going to be a closed circle. My inequality symbol is going to follow the direction of the arrow, and it goes to the number of 2. So we are looking for the inequality with the solution of x is greater than or equal to 2. This is multiplication, so we are going to divide. We do the inverse operation. So we get x is less than or equal to 2, so that is no good. I divide by 3, and I get x is less than 2. No good because I'm looking for greater than or equal to. For h, I divide by 3 again, and I get x is greater than or equal to 2, so h is correct. And I can quickly solve I just to make sure I am correct, and I would get x is greater than 2. Remember, you only flip the inequality symbol when multiplying or dividing by a negative. So the same thing, inequalities are solved exactly like equations. We have a positive 3, so the inverse would be subtract 3. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. I keep my inequality symbol, and 12 minus 3 is 9. So my answer choice would be A. I have 5x is less than 30. This is a multiplication equation, so the inverse is division. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So you divide by 5, and you get x is less than 6. So G is correct. So this is a division inequality of x divided by 3 is less than or equal to 6. The inverse of division is multiplication, so you multiply each side, and you get x is less than or equal to 18. And answer choice C. Now, this last one was a little tricky. I noticed when I was doing this with a student because you couldn't graph the first one on the first graph. So I graphed the first one on the last graph. Remember, it's going to be the first one is going to be a close point at the 3. Your arrow follows your inequality symbol, so it's going to be an arrow to the right. So if we look at 2, I can graph 2. I'll graph it right next to it. So it's going to be an open point at the 0. My arrow follows my inequality symbol, so it's going to go to the left. If you look at the third one, it's still going to be an open point at the -6. The arrow follows my inequality symbol, so it's going to be arrow to the right. And the fourth one, I am just going to graph at the top just to make it easier. I have x is less than or equal to 1, so I'm going to put a close point at the 1. The arrow follows the inequality symbol, so it goes all the way to the left, okay? Remember, a few things to remember. You have greater than or less than. It's an open circle or open point. You have greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. It's a closed point or closed circle, okay? Inequalities, we solve them exactly like equations. If you need me, you can email me.